How much do we understand about it actually? About the term meditation and how we relate to it, basically. Probably the terminology was there for a long, long time. But nevertheless, now how we sort of utilize that term and to connect with what one is talking about, what Buddha was talking about, one could say. So to connect that, I think it's a bit of a challenge. Yeah. There are two ways to go about it, I think. One is by learning what Buddha had suggested in the form of philosophy, I think. Of course, that came later in time when great beings like Nagarjuna and Asanga and Vasubandhu came into being. So they really sort of took the time to describe what Buddha was saying during his lifetime. Although he lived a very, very long life, nevertheless, even when you live that long in a human span of 100 years, one could say, you can only express so much, you know. So therefore Buddha had to really sort of, in his entire lifetime, summarize as much as possible and to yet expressing everything. And so therefore he had to really sort of teach in a form where everything is almost, not really to say encrypted, but somehow using the language at the time that existed to really, it's in its full ability. And that's what the Sanskrit and Pali, that kind of language holds that kind of ability, I think, that in one word you could summarize so many things. Yeah, and it's not an encryption at the same time, you know. And therefore, later on, before Buddha's passing, he already predicted that later, after so many years, then someone will come to explain more about this subject and that subject. And accordingly, then all the great Mahasiddhas or Mahabodhisattvas came. Yeah? Like if you think that of Nagarjuna, he was both relatable as Mahasiddha as well as Mahabodhisattva. Yeah? So then they basically describe the philosophy. Yeah, because to our human mind, philosophy is kind of important, you know. It's an important part of life. Without the philosophy, we feel a little handicapped actually sometimes. And so therefore then those great Bodhisattvas actually explained the Buddha Dharma that Buddha has taught in forms of philosophies, yeah, in various formats. Actually the sound is good.
I think so too. It's a nice sound.
It's okay, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, that's much, thank you. It's the sound of nature in a way, you know. And so it's that philosophy that was taught. And so now, as I said, there are two approaches. Yes? One is through the philosophy. Because we associate ourselves with philosophy, so therefore, going through that direction, then we touch some core aspects of the Buddha Dharma, particularly in this case, meditation. So that's one way. The other way is just by following what is most natural to us, which is by following one's heart, one could say. Yeah. And that is to try to connect with the basic principles of life, yeah? Such as that of compassion. Well, probably compassion is still a very, maybe in some ways it's sort of noble and sort of spiritual term, but really sort of basic word, I would say like care, loving kindness. And it's the attitude of seeking for happiness and seeking for liberation from confusion. Yeah. Karuna and Maitri. in Sanskrit words. Meditation is basically a way to come to realize that, I think. That's what it is all about. Yeah. And therefore then there is a ceremony, there is a ritual, yeah, that comes with it. That it begins by sitting down, having a calm environment, in some ways secluded, you know, and basically a little bit free of busyness of life in a way. So there are tons of descriptions about what kind of conditions, what kind of attitude, what kind of physical postures one should have, and so on. Yeah. And those are timeless methods, but it's not a must that we have to acquire all of that. Yeah. At the end, what we need to do is just calm our mind, whatever that calms our mind. That's what we have to do. For me, to calm my mind, sometimes noise is helpful. Yeah, that's the thing. That's when I heard the breeze. Actually, it was actually calming, you know, soothing. Yeah. But I'm not just, of course, saying any kind of noise. Maybe it works for each individual. Yes, for some, maybe heavy metal is actually, you know, meditative. Maybe for some Mozart is, you know, meditative. Maybe for some techno is meditative. You know, so it depends. That's why I think in fitness rooms sometimes there are these sort of spa music. Yes, it works, and for some individuals, just the nature. That's all that is required. So whatever be it, we just basically need to find a way to calm our mind. That seems to be the basic aspect, requirements of meditation. Yeah. But this could be in some ways distracting, in a way that we might try to just think that that's what it's all about, you know. And so therefore, then we limit ourselves, restrict ourselves with just breathing, just listening to spa music and whatnot, and thinking that probably that's it. But I don't think so. Meditation says that it's two things, in Sanskrit, shamatha and vipassana. Yeah. So meaning that calming aspect is very essential. It's like the foundation, yes. But then on top of it, in order to really understand what compassion is about, then you need vipassana, which is awareness, one could say, in short. There are various stages that one could describe, but in short, it's a way to gain awareness. Yeah. And so therefore we train the mind to begin with focusing something very basic, like compassion. Yeah? In a almost one could say in a primitive stage, one could say. Probably that's not the right word. A very basic, simple aspect of compassion, that we focus on that. And by doing that, then we not only have already calmed the mind, but we're also making use of the mind. Yeah? We're not just wasting it. Yeah? And so therefore then we focus on that, and as our mind becomes more and more comfortable with it, which will, then we try to focus on a little bit more elaborate about the aspect of compassion. A little bit more. Yeah. And that experience that we gain, that understanding that we gain, that knowledge that is gained, information, whatever we call it, now that's what we call wisdom in this case. Yeah. So that's a very, very short way to summarize meditation. Yeah. Initially we just imitate. Yeah. Just like babies that starts to crawl and that starts to todd, you know, they are always looking to their parents and see what they do. Yes, and they imitate that. And in the same way, it's difficult to say who we are at the moment, or where we are at the moment, whether we are still crawling or whether we are still trying to sort of stand on our feet, or we are already starting to run, you know. But nevertheless, there is benefit in to begin in the beginning to imitate, yeah. And sometimes that could take a bit of time, sometimes not, yeah. And after a while, then after a while, meaning that once we have come to associate and become quite close to it, this practice of meditation is calming the mind and focusing and gaining focus, then we can take a few steps into actually applying it in reality, one could say. Reality in a way where we try to engage with others and see what is the strength and the ability of my meditation. Yeah. And so it's basically the path is kind of like a trial and error in a way. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong about that, I think. Yeah. We try, and in some areas we succeed, in some areas we feel that we're not ready, and then again we come back and practice, and then again, you know. So it's like flexing.